I hate football. So let's put on some makeup and I'm going to run to TJ Maxx instead. I know that may not be a popular opinion amongst some, but I hate football season and I hate watching football. It's just give me baseball any day. I don't mind to watch some racing, but with NASCAR, but I'm not a football fan, so I'm sorry. My husband is, and he is totally engrossed in watching right now. So I've already done all my business today, what I'm going to do, and now I want to run to TJ Maxx, so let's put on some makeup. Hello there, Mom. There's my hubby now, huh? I'm talking about you. Yeah, I did, I did watch it and I enjoy watching them, but not a fan to go and sit and watch it. I don't get into getting all dressed up in sports fan clothes and all the things. I don't. I really try, but I'm not a fan. So I'm going to run to TJ Maxx. I've been playing all morning working on my trout tank and had to work on creating more of a biofilter. I was told I needed more, so a gentleman at the local pet store who's super smart was giving us suggestions on how to make a handmade one. And so that's what my daddy and I did this morning. And Mike was helping out, holding things and doing all that. So it was a lot of fun. So let's put on some Demi. I'm just going to do what I would do, a very simple look. And if you have any questions, be sure to ask. Lighting probably is not the best, but it's just daylight and the sun, and it shows the shadows and stuff, so it might move a little bit, but we'll roll with it. I just put on some brow wax. I like to add it a little bit and let it dry for a minute or two, and then press it down and shape it the way I like my brows, and then I'll fill them in a minute. I want to add some color where I need it. And you can do this multiple ways with different colors, things that you have. If you're in the medium skin tones, you can do it with bronzers. If you have some age spots and some discoloration sometimes, or larger pores, or any kind of acne scarring, or excessive texture on the sides in the area where you want to add color, I would steer away from the bronzers, and I would pick up something like the Sculpts or some saturated oranges to add color. So there's multiple ways I've done this, but the goal is wherever you're light, add some depth of color. I find on the mature side, the color Cedar works really well. Now I got really dim, but we're still going to roll with it. Cedar works really well because it's pretty friendly with areas where you do have some age spots and that kind of thing. I like using NO, NO-1. The goal and the concept is this: add depth of color, kind of steer away from things that are ashy, and also add some warmth in those areas. Don't get caught up into placement and like this goes here and this goes there. That would match only one person's face and may not match yours. So just kind of apply it where you need it. And sometimes it might be a large area, so use a larger end of the brush. I'm going to use this shape brush, the larger end, and I'm going to use NO today. I'm just going to tap. I kind of hold my bristles so I don't hit into the other colors. Please ask any questions if you have any. And so I'm going to add, using this NO, just along here where I'm very fair and light. I'm going to look in this mirror there. Just kind of fair and light. And the thing you have to understand is you are going to bring, when you touch your skin, you're going to bring some blood flow to the top layer of your skin, so it will shift and change in color. So just apply, touch, and go. Use the light hand. You should never actually see the color on the skin. Now, I had some really bad age spots right in here. They're pretty well have faded with skincare. They're doing a lot better, and I don't lay in the sun or get any sun any longer, so they're a lot better. Before, I really had to use a smaller brush and kind of go around them. There's a couple of these that are kind of dark, but I'll filter those out in the end, so I would use a smaller brush. So you just got to look at your skin, and only where areas are light and fair, add color there first. You want to turn your head side to side and add those colors. You could do this with cedar. I've done it with cedar, or a bronzer, or a contour, but I think it's best to do a little bit of a warmer one. So here on this side of my face, I definitely have a little more aging, sun damage over the years. And I'm using the smaller end of the brush. And I'm just adding color where it's light. And if it seems like you see the color, when I touch that right there, it's just got really orange. I'm just going to pull that off. A couple of reasons why it would do that. I've applied it in an area of it didn't need it, or I got too much on the brush, and you can see I had too much on the brush. This is an area down in here that is often very light. And if you have any pigmentation on your face, it will really show up and be like your makeup or your skin from your face, the neck doesn't match. So always go down in here and add some color. And I love using the Demi Sculpts for that because they're translucent, they're easy to use, they're not ashy, it's just color. They're my favorite. The sculpts are all primary colors together, minus the white or more of the black pigment. It's more of the red, blue, and yellow. See, I'm just adding where I am light. I'm not following, like each side of my face is going to be different. See how that's kind of blue? That's a vein that comes close to the skin, so that orange will really help that. Zoom in just a little bit. Just adding where I have little fair spots. Trying to stay clear of anything that has a lot of excess color. You can also add a little there on the ears if your ears are really, really light. Okay, now I'm going to clean that brush off, or I'm just going to grab another one. I have another one. I'm going to use a small N, and I'm going to use the NG Sculpt. I like to use this one because it really mimics pigment, especially in my skin, like freckling and freckles that I have like a space between. I could use it to my advantage to use it to create more depth and sculpt. So I take a small end of a brush and gently place it in areas where I want added depth to accentuate more the shape of my cheek that is there. See how it's kind of looks kind of pointy and droopy? I want this more rounded and to show more of that roundness. So pigment and shadow here, pigment shadow there. So I just kind of bridge it together and see the difference. So you just kind of look, I like using this green, something that has a green brown, if you have anything like that. Preferably anything like that, it's a cream. And I love using the sculpts, like I said. And I like to take just a little to create as if my cheek, when I was younger, a little bit more fullness. See how this is fallen? So I want that little bit of fullness, and if it was full, it would create more right in here. So I want to give an illusion of that. And there's a white area there. And I want to build that up. And we're talking very, very little product. Okay, I'm going to come across the nose just a little bit. Where I used to have freckles, and the thing about when you had freckles when you're younger, you know, they may have been very bold and distinct, and as you age, if you get any kind of sun damage or sunburn on your nose, what happens, you end up with white patches or pink patches on your nose a lot, and broken capillaries and red noses as you age is a sign of sun damage. Well, I was not very well behaved when I was younger, protecting my face, so I definitely have some missing color on my nose, and then I have excess color on my nose. So I'm just adding color with that NG as like my freckles were when I was younger. So you can see how this gave me more of roundness and fullness in my cheek, and balance the color of my nose. So I have a little more added color here, and then I will take a little bit of that red away on the end of my nose with broken capillaries in just a minute. I don't worry about subtracting color until the end. I just kind of add color where I need it. As we age, this typically gets longer because of gravity. So I am adding all that white space, adding a little bit of warmth. You got to be careful here because you don't want it to look like a mustache. And if you have a lot of lines and texture on your lip, you got to be very careful. So using a sculpt, using a warm color to add a little bit of color back in that area. I've used cedar the same way. I'm not going close to my lip. I'm just kind of going right in there. See, like when you smile and you get that little white spot in there, that elongates that. So I want more of that light and depth right here, and this to kind of go back in the background. Then when I smile here, I'm going to have to use a smaller brush. I'm going to use this smaller brush here. Just want to get different angles. And I find when I add color first like this, there's very little I have to do. It's really hard to get a foundation that could do this because it's not translucent and it's one color. So having these sudden little changes in color like this orange and this green that I've used really works with the color on the skin. Right up here in between those little age spot areas. Alright, now I'm going to fill in my brows because they're bugging me. I'm using Indigo Contour And I'm just going to fill them in little spaces and basically hide some gray hairs because it makes my brows look more of an ashy color and too cool for my taste and I feel like my skin tone. Yay, I'm so glad. Ask any questions because sometimes I'm afraid I'm talking in my head. It's like it makes sense to me. I'm hoping I'm breaking it down. The big thing is this. It is not hard pressed. It is not like you have to do it this certain way. The concept is unlearning what we've been taught and had to accept for so long because it's really all we had. And sometimes we're so busy doing things and we really just don't have time to do something else. So that's the other thing, but I'm telling you, just taking a little time to unlearn and practice some basic things like adding color to your face first. 05, yes. Yeah, I like to do, sometimes I do like 05. See, I have it in my compact and it gives a different feel to me. Like if I did 05, I like to do it right here. If I feel like I'm too pasty, that ashy pale look, a little bit of 05 there, just looks healthy and I don't know, I like using it as well. I like using it down on my neck, and sometimes if I don't use the NO, I'll use the 05 and then I'll use cedar for a little more depth. Like I said, it's not hard press. Yeah, you can do it around your age spots. Like if you have a lot of, I do on this side, picks up. So if I went just everywhere there with that 05 or added color, it's going to make them darker, which is okay, but you're just kind of adding more work. Doesn't mean it's wrong, but if you can use a smaller brush and just place it where you need it, sometimes the dark or the age spot doesn't stand out as much to you. I really think gone are the days that really and seriously that we got to step away from is putting something all over. It's satisfying, I know. It's satisfying to put on one thing and feel like you've mastered it and you're done and you just done one thing and it's all covered and it's satisfying because you instantly see it. But yet you sacrifice later that the beauty, if just kind of changing the way you think it and adding color in different places and learning how to see what your skin actually looks like. And we all know it. We all see it. And the payoff is no makeup texture. And I think that is worth unlearning things we've done for so long and trying something new. But, and sometimes right here, I'm super pale, so I'm just taking a little bit of that 05 here and add it on there. Now I'm going to use, I am just so tickled about this color, Spellbound. Yeah, you can use that, absolutely. I've used NR for eyeliner. I've used Spellbound. I used it yesterday. I love it. I love using Grape for on the eyelining. The NV is the look. And you know, I have tattooed eyeliner. So using color theory, if I use the NO minus one, this is the NO. The NO minus one is going to subtract a little bit of color, but it's also going to filter out and tone down the blue, and so my eyeliner will look more green. It's crazy. But then if I want to change the effects of that, the sculpts can give me that because it's translucent. So it allows some of that color show through and filtering and changing the direction of the light, which is how we see color. And if I want to drop in more color, I would use the NO. So there is multiple things you can do with it. but this Spellbound, my personal opinion, this is RV7. I used it the other day, but it's a neutral version in it. So that means it has all three primary colors in it. I don't know how it's made. That's how I see it. More of a red and a violet. It's definitely a purple brown. Purple brown is red and blue with a little bit of yellow, making it come into the neutral zone. That's how I feel that this is. So this purple color, this purple brown, mimics blood flow. So anything in this area that can add a little bit of purple or violet looks like flushing. And I am not fortunate enough to have flushing cheeks, which looks youthful and healthy, so I added in and I love it. I'm just using the wash brush, the tiniest amount. Like this thing would last me years. You need so little, and you don't want to follow like a pattern, like, you know, you see people doing this and adding yours in. Don't try to follow a hack or anything. Skip around. If you have broken capillaries and stuff in your cheeks, skip around it. And then at the very end, you might take out the hot spots. I would recommend Spellbound no matter what their skin tone is, honestly, because it's a purple, it's a violet color, so it's going to be red and blue in it. Very saturated on a very high scale of red and violet. I mean red and blue. So I know there's that warm or cool tones, but I see it as, what does it mimic in on human skin is blood flow to me. And it would also, on skin that has a lot of yellow in it, would be a great warming of yellow skin and add some depth to it. I need to look at my mirror really quick because I'm looking in the camera. See how that bulges out? I'll fix that with a little bit of added color. But I like to change my facial expressions and see how the skin moves and ups and downs, because your cheeks change, and just kind of see like where would flushing take place. A little bit closer to the skin, not going over where the NG is, just matching up to it. Did that help with the question there about warm or cool tones? I mean, I'm using so little. I really love this color. So saturated. Literally the easiest thing. I'm going to do what I did yesterday. I'm going to take that same color, Spellbound, and I'm going to just apply it right above. And the reason why I like this is I got it a little too much. Totally fine. So I'm just going to press it around. Is ladies that I've seen in person and color match them in person, and they have this beautiful veinage. Okay, good. Veinage, very violet at their lash line, and it's so pretty. So when I do this, it reminds me of that deep violet capillaries that they have at their lash line, which gives you a natural eyeshadow. So I love using things like Grape, RV7, and now Spellbound is going to be, I mean, I'm going to be recommending it to everybody. Love it. I'm just going to go ahead and add it to my lips because I like it. And I'm going to use this I don't want to go outside and just have little blank spaces in my lips that are lighter. So I'm just touching and going. And I know that seems like you could just throw in a lip gloss and be done, or a lipstick. But doing it this way, there's so little on my lips that it lasts so much longer. So I'd rather take my time and do it once and get some longevity and never really feel like I have product on my lips. You could also take this color and then take pineapple or OY1 and put it right there in the center of the lip. That's pretty. Hey, Mandy. I just love watching your content. I love the clothing. I love it all. I love that style, my daughter's style. She has that vintage flair. I love it. All right, then add a little bit of depth right in here as you go up. I'm just adding it there. I have really tried to like lip lining. I can't. You see it when you talk, you see it when you smile, but this, tinting your lips, just adding depth. Now I could do a whole different look. I could do one where it's darker and add lighter, like with a red 3 or something like that, and take away some of the darker spots, and my lips have more of a pink look. So I just used this Spellbound in blank spaces, and it gave me more color that matches the dark spots of my lips. Okay, now I'm going to do a little bit of under eyes. So when I smile, you see this little spot here and these little white spots. Then when I don't smile, you can kind of see this. Okay, before I would concentrate on filtering all this out, and it was a lot of work. And then it makes this so light and such a big area. It gave this space, and I really want this to be more depth, give the illusion that the cheek's higher, creating a shadow here. But I really want to get rid of this depth here. I like using a brush that's small, that's going to do a little product, or this one, the bright brush, something that I can just, like a marker that is very watered down is what you want to do. So I'm going to use this NV+1, this purple dark brown, okay? And you can use a medium brown, but I am lightly tapping. I'm going to wipe it off again just because I'm going to show you. We're talking, that's how little. And when I do this in the morning time, I'm having to get ready by a light that's like daylight bulbs. Do you see what's happening? I just kind of turn and I'm like away from the mirror and I'm just looking back and what's flashy. You should never, like, if you're using NV, you can use NY. You just want to add some color. Do you see what's taking place here? So what it was very dark, and each eye is going to be different. Now it's not so bad. And what happens is the skin is very thin. It's hollow. So hollow means thinner skin, so it's more translucent. It has no depth in it. So I'm adding depth to it by using this depth of color. Do you see? I hope you saw that. and then I smile, and then if there's any ups and downs, now I'll do the same thing for my eyes. I want, this gets wider as we age. And then I'm going to go right in here. I have to be careful. I have some dull age spots on my eyelids, and so this will pick them up. So you see that light makes it come forward. So just kind of lift, look, you see that? I'm just going to add some color to that. Instead of trying to follow a trend for eyeshadows, I'm just adding that color, that depth, and see that looks more lifted. And it looks like I have no eyeshadow on, but yet I have structure around my eye. And then here, I want to create that depth. It's already there. My eye already shapes. I'm just accentuating. You see it? Yes. The brush is going to be key, and you don't apply and then blend. I mean, if you actually see that purple brown on the skin, it's okay. Don't just brush it away. You just got too much on the brush. But I like this, or you can use a little skinny brush. The goal is very little, and the goal is not to dip into the tin, just to tap on the tin or just gently pull across it. See, and you just kind of, you got the purple brown is adding that depth because purple has got blue in it. This is a violet. It's got blue in it. So it's going to drop in some depth. Blue is always depth. All right, I'm going to do the same thing here. Each eye is different. See how this comes down this way? Okay, I really don't, I could filter this out, but then it's not, see how that looks like bumpy? So I just kind of take a little bit of that NV. It already is less. Then I just take a couple of dots in that dark spot. Do the same thing here. And like in the morning times, I'm just like looking like this, away. I'm not zoomed in the mirror. And anything that has light, flashy, see? It's crazy. Then get different angles. This eye's a lot more wrinkly and droopy than the other eye. So I have to treat it, like my sinuses are not too bad today, but there's usually like a little bulge, a little pocket there if my sinuses are bad. So I just kind of, whatever's light and flashy, I'm adding some color. So far I've only used 4 colors. That's it. And like this NV plus one, I've had this color, this same tin for 2 years. That's how little it takes. It's so saturated. See how that skin fold? Love it. Now I'm going to go right down here. and accentuate that shape that I have done there. Now, this comes down a little dark. That purple brown was naturally there. I didn't go over it, so I'll filter that out. So I just learned to ignore it until I am done. And this vein right here that I have, I don't know how much it's showing up because the light is not that great, but I definitely have a vein that goes across there. So it sticks out, and I'm using MV+1. Notice how it came at a different angle. I'm adding some purple brown on the top of it to take out where it's reflecting light. Now there's just a couple little shadow parts under it, and I'll use a filtering color to take care of that. Here, I'm using NV+1, just a little, and I'm using it in areas that I want depth of color and sculpt. Around my nose, I have a lot of large pores. I've already done the NG to take out, right? Yeah, NG to take out, not to take out, to drop in some color, some like freckling. Here, I'm bouncing around some large pores. Smile. Get, how your nose wrinkles up. Just get different angles. I'm not trying to change the shape of my nose, just the excess or lack of color on my nose, because color distracts the actual shape of your face. So like right here, this separation between light and dark is very stark. So I'm going to add a little depth right there to soften that edge. You see when I smile now, just to soften it so it's not a harsh line. Same thing when I smile, there's a little flashy right in there. Now this has been nitpicky. I don't do this every morning. This is because I've got time to show you, but going to work, sometimes I just sacrifice certain things. But do you see how that is a lot softer? And all I did is soften the difference, subtract the difference between light and dark using that NV+1. So really and truly, I could just like stop there, but I am going to do some filtering. But now it is, so I'm adding that NV+1 right in that dip, so it doesn't look so flashy right there. Now I'm just going to take a little brush, and I'm going to do a little bit of filtering. I like to start with the 03 and use the 01. If I have like a pimple or something, I'll use Y01. Okay, so I like to use anywhere with depth of color 03. And when you take your brush, you never dive into the 10. You just gently go across it. If you get too much, wipe it on a 10. I think I need a new brush, even though this one's still pretty good, but it's got a little curl on the end of it where I've used it so much. But right here, I just want to target, this is a popular place on every lady. Just right here. Or I did a demonstration on my husband the other day, and it's just right there. And it gives, there's a collection, a little fold of skin right there, and it gives the illusion of droopiness. And it will also deflate your cheek. So when I put that back, it's going to pop it back out and give more fullness in my cheek. And see, look, literally that dot, and I'm okay with the color right next to my eye because it's like a shadow, an eyeshadow. So if it bothers you, you can take care of it. But I have since been adding color here. I'm not worried about excess color right there anymore. Just really right here, the things that take away from the shape. So there's some broken capillaries in there. I could use Y01 on those. It works really well. But I'm just taking out excess color. And there's a dark age spot there. Couple there. little broken capillaries. I always start at my eyes, and I find sometimes after I take care of that, and if I have like a pimple, chin is always an issue for me sometimes, always has been. Do you remember that little bump there? Now I'm taking care of that right. It's a hollow part. There's a couple of dark freckles in there that gives an illusion that it's deeper than what it is. So this one is always a little more color than this one, but you can see how quick that is. Sometimes I like to use the red one here, that muddiness. Take a little red one, anything that looks kind of muddy brown. And the thing about the reds, anything that's this pink color, is going to subtract almost all evidence of pigment. So that's the reason why the reds I like to use on places very small and the least amount. Do you see how this got very bright? Okay, I'm going to do it right here on this cheek, taking the smallest amount. Right here on that bone, there's a couple of like muddy brown spots. And you can see how, can't talk, muddy brown spots. And you see how bright that got. So that's the reason why it's a color that I would not use everywhere, just in places you want a touch of brightness, because it's going to subtract away from everything of evidence of pigment, because pigment is green and this is red. And if it's a muddy brown or anything like that, it's going to subtract it all the way down and take away all the color. If you just want to take the oomph of the darkness away from it, you're just going to use some orange, because orange is going to take away the depth. Okay, oops, I've got red on that. I'm going to go back to my O. This is, I love the little brush cleaning tile. Just touching a couple of little broken capillaries in there. Here I have a vein, so I'm just going to take the depth away. I'm not worried about the color, what it is. I'm just taking the depth away. So anything depth, your oranges, your low saturation oranges. So O3 is going to neutralize it. O1 will subtract all the color away from it. That's blue. Here's this vein that I talked about, and I'm going just in a couple of spots where it's dark, and it really helps minimize it. And here is, I go on the other side of it, a little mole type thing. It's clear, it's not cute. And I'm just barely using O3 for all of those dark points of color. But sometimes after I've taken care of my eyes, I'm not worried about the rest. I mean, you can spend and you always want to do different little facial expressions. So I just keep a pattern to keep me on track, just like you would do anything else, a routine. I am very routine. So I do eyes, go around to the face, and then I do the chin and the lips, and I'm done. I'm going to take out that dark freckle. Got too much. If you happen to get too much, you will see it, but you should always let it dry down just a little bit, just because your skin is settling down and it's going to turn red, especially if you have a bump. See, like I have a healing vent right here. And when you're working in that area, you're going to get some extra redness, so you're going to get frustrated and want to put more. And you don't need more, you just need to let it calm down. So now I'm going to switch to the Y01 and just right on top of this little healing vent that looks red, which is never red. And what you notice is I don't have any of the little small green correctors because you don't need it. And then I'm going to use a little bit of 01 right smack dab on top of it because it's got a dark spot. And done. Yay. Alright, I think I'm done. Oh, right here's. This one's just slightly purple or red, which is always purple, and I use Y01. Okay, I'm all finished. Now put on some mascara and I'm done. Okay, any questions? What did I use today? I started out with NO, NG, then NO, NG, then I did Spellbound, then I used NV+1, and then I did my brows, of course, and then the 03, and just a touch of red one, Y01 for that little bump, and 01 for that little bump, a tiny little dot on it, and that's how little I use. So I have other things in here that I haven't used today, but that doesn't mean I don't ever. That's the reason why I said this is really fun to play in, because it's not as hard pressed. I'm going to go ahead and apply my mascara, and then I'll share my after. If you have any questions, if you're watching on the replay, just drop them in the comments and I'll be glad to answer them. If you wish to be color matched, you can go to yes.altheamatchme.com and I'll be glad to help you. When you're color matched by me, you get graphics, you get clips that are very specific to you. It takes me a little bit of time, but it's very beneficial and it helps ladies a lot, and they're very successful when they're doing especially when it comes to the Demi Method. All right, thank you for hanging out with me. I hope you guys have a great Saturday, and I am going to head off to TJ Maxx, but I'll share my before and after and my stories. Thanks for joining me.